drop off a
Scarlett do
turkey.
that?
Turkey.
Does Scarlett do that for her 4-H project or
No,
something?
she just got a
Oh,
bunch of
she
eggs.
just does them?
She got a bunch of peacock eggs, and I guess they sell for like 2,000.
Oh, sweet.
So
Years
she's
ago, they used to have peacocks
hatching
at
those
the ground.
things.
They're noisy.
Yep, bigger and
I
taller.
don't remember a peacock. I see pictures of the bear that was there.
I remember the peacocks. Yeah. Be nice to have some swans there.
You got a new donkey up there or anything?
Donkey.
Where is that? Is that down the groom?
You got a circus at your house?
What? No, at
Zoo?
my house.
No, we don't need no dog.
Their goats just started having babies, so I think we're up to 5 right now.
Oh, I know, here a donkey braying down that end of town. Was raising hell a little bit earlier tonight.
Yeah. On this, when we talk about the alleyway to the, that's been changed, they're gonna work in a different spot. They're not gonna, grade that down, yeah.
Yeah, that don't look too bad right now.
No.
Just put some on there.
No, now they're gonna do some sealing somewhere else. So is Brooke gonna, is she on?
Well, you can see if she's on there. Ask.
Are you there, Brooke? No, Brooke.
No Brooke.
She might be trying to get here on time.
Oh, okay.
I think it might be dead. It's not turning on.
It's not on. It was. Yeah, it's on.
Oh, okay. I'm not an iPhone user, so I
Brooke, are you there?
Should we get started then without?
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock.
Give her a
We'll
minute.
just, if she comes on, she'll have to announce she comes.
Okay. Oh, Grant, would you want to lead us in the pledge of allegiance before we begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, then we'll bring to order the West Bend City Council meeting of June 8, 2026. We'll have a roll call of the City Council.
Montague,
Present.
Gerhart,
Here,
Tiltis,
Here.
Winklehorst, Van Wert,
Here.
4 present, 1 absent.
Okay, very good. Now we'll have the approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Linda and Joe.
Brooke? Okay,
Welcome.
We just started, so.
Okay, we're just gonna do the roll call for the approval of the agenda, so Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke. Yes. Blake,
Yes.
Grant.
yes,
That's approved, then we'll need to approve the consent agenda.
so moved.
Second.
Okay. Grant, so Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke. Yes. Blake,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes,
That's approved, and we'll have our NYMECA update. We have Greg Fritz with us here this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I thought I'd start off, since a couple of you are new, maybe just talking about NYMECA a little bit. I do have a handout that I passed around for everybody. So NYMECA is North Iowa Municipal Electric Cooperative Association. And nobody wants to say that all the time, so that's why we go by NYMECA. We're what's called a joint action agency, which the idea behind NYMECA is it's a group of municipal utilities that have gone together because, it's the idea of, purchasing in bulk, working together jointly, getting more economies of scale. There's 90 plus organizations like ours in the country. We're actually the 5th oldest in the country, formed in November of 1965. We're headquartered in Humboldt. We have 13 municipal utility members. We have a 13-member board of directors. Each member's governing body, so either, like in your case, the city council. Some communities have a separate board of trustees that oversees their electric utility, so in that case, it would be the board of trustees. They appoint a representative to our board. Joe is currently your representative on our board. Craig also comes to our meetings since he works for the COPEG group that's shared between Grettinger, West Bend, and Pocahontas. Grettinger also being a member of NYMECA, so Craig comes to our meetings every month as well. We just have a staff of 2, myself. I've worked there since 2008. Sierra is our accountant. She's worked there since 2019, I believe it is. And on an annual basis, we manage transactions for the members totaling around $50 to $60 million per year. Our main purpose is to manage your power supply, transmission, so getting the power from the power plants to West Bend and the other members, the market services for the energy market, all of those types of things. We either do some of that in-house or else we have contracts with other larger companies that handle some of those tasks on behalf of all of our members. The second slide just shows a map, list of our members where they're all at in the state. The next page shows the list of members, what the population is, roughly how many electric meters they have, and in 2025, how many kilowatt hours they receive from NYMECA. A couple of them you'll notice maybe are a little out of whack. Coon Rapids at 355 million kilowatt hours. They have a large data center Bitcoin mining facility there. Without that, they would be about 15 to 16 million. So I mean, it's huge, and it's actually going to be even bigger this year. It's grown. Algona also has a Bitcoin mining facility. Without that, they would be at about 125 million kilowatt hours. So last year, all in total, a little over 1 billion kilowatt hours for our members. And then we actually sold another 26 million kilowatt hours to other utilities. So there's times where we're maybe actually have more generation than we need and we can make money. And so we sell that excess to other utilities, make money, and that goes back to the members. NYMECA does not keep any of that. Anything we do is on behalf of the members. So if we make extra money on that, it flows back as credits on your monthly power bills. The next slide just shows the...
Back to the other one.
Yes.
Let's we have the highest percentage of meters in relationship to population. Obviously, that means single household houses.
Single household or maybe more businesses can be part of it too, that you have. One of the things you have, so like the population is just the town.
Mhm.
You guys are unique. You, Bancroft and Algona, are unique among our members, that you serve a pretty big rural area outside the city limits. So I do not have any of that rural population included in the population number. So that's gonna, but it will show up in your meter count. So,
Okay.
so that's probably the biggest difference in your
Sure.
case. Good question though. The next slide just shows the last 20 years of, in a graph of how many kilowatt hours West Bend has gotten from through NYMECA. So back in 2006, you were at just under 14.5 million. 10 years later, 2015, you're at almost 18 million. And in 2025, you were at almost 22.5 million. So that is unique among our members, in that you've had steady growth. You know, you'll see there's some ups and downs in here, and some of that can be variances of weather, things like that. COVID played a role on some of those. But annualized over that 20-year period, you've had 2.86% growth annually, which that's pretty much unheard of in the electric world. Most utilities consider themselves lucky if they see 1% growth. So barring something, you know, a big like a data center or something coming in, that's, you know, you've just had nice steady growth. That's good for your electric system, because you think, you know, if you have your substation transformer, that's more, the cost the same whether you're selling 15 million or 22 million, but it's more kilowatt hours to spread fixed costs for linemen, things like that over. So that's a big plus for a smaller community to be able to have that. The next two slides show, the first one is 2025, the second one is 2024, and it just shows where your power came from each of the last 2 years. So last year, coal was your largest source at a little over 10 million kilowatt hours, or 46%. Wind was your next largest at 9.7 million, or 43%. Market purchases of a little over 2 million, or about 10%. There's certain times of the year, especially in what we call the shoulder months, like April, early May, you know, when it's not cold, so people aren't running heat. It's not hot, so people aren't running air conditioning. You'll see the same thing in the fall, September, October. A lot of times we can buy power from the market cheaper than we can make it ourselves, so that's what we do, because that's a cheaper way to do it. So some of those purchases are from the market. And then we have a little bit of natural gas and diesel, you know, very small portion of your power. And you can see the last 2 years, you know, they really didn't vary much. This is pretty standard with where we're at, or where West Bend is at right now. So West Bend for generation, West Bend itself owns a little over 1,100 kW of Walter Scott 4. Walter Scott 4 is a coal plant at Council Bluffs, Iowa, that is majority owned and operated by Mid-American Energy, and we have 6 members that are joint owners in that. So you own it, but what you do is you commit it to NYMECA, and we manage it for your benefit and the benefit of the group. Same with the other members' shares. You also have your local diesel plant that's accredited at 4,325 kW. You have 2 diesel generators down there that are operational, and every year they have to go through testing to prove that they work. And then you actually get a credit for having those sit there from NYMECA on your power bill every month. Through NYMECA, you have a purchase power agreement for 2,676 kW of Willow Creek Wind. That's where all of your wind energy on those previous slides came from, is from that Willow Creek Wind Farm. That is a wind farm out by Newell, South Dakota, where we get that power from, which is north of Rapid City. And then NYMECA, through NYMECA, you participate in what's our capacity sharing. You know, you guys own Walter Scott 4 and your local diesel plant. So imagine you were a standalone utility in the world, and for some reason Walter Scott 4 was not working. You would have to buy all of your power from the market. So, you know, if prices are okay, that's not a big deal. If you remember Winter Storm Uri back in 2021, prices got very tight. If something would have happened and your plant wouldn't have worked and you were a standalone utility, you likely would have went bankrupt because of the cost of power during that time. There was days during that where power was $1 a kilowatt hour. So you start thinking of that, how long it would take you to spend a lot of money. There was a utility in Texas went bankrupt during that time. So through NYMECA then, there's another coal plant that Mid-American owns called Neal 4 that several of our members are joint owners of. NYMECA has a PPA, a purchase power agreement, for a coal plant in Nebraska called Wayland 2. There's joint ownership with Wisdom 2, which is a natural gas plant up at Spencer, that's with Corn Belt Power, and then other member diesel plants throughout NYMECA. So the way our capacity sharing works is all of the members get to share all of that. So if Walter Scott 4 is not working, we have Neal, we have Wayland, we have the other diesel plants that you would get part of to meet your needs. If Neal 4 is not working, then everybody's sharing the other stuff. So it's a good way to spread risk and reduce, you know, potential exposure for times that are bad, instead of just being, you know, a standalone utility. Any questions on any of that before I go into the main reason why I'm here tonight? So I mentioned the wind farm. The existing Ørsted is the owner of the company. They're actually a Danish company. They own the wind farm. And that contract expires in May of 2031. And price is slightly less than, and I have X cents per kilowatt hour because it is considered confidential, so I don't want to put it in writing. And I will say it's a little less than 2 cents a kilowatt hour. We're starting, you know, it can take some time to find projects, so even though we're 5 years away from that expiring, we're starting to look at what is our next option to replace that. Orsted has offered options for 5 and 10-year extensions on our existing contract, so that would bring it to 2036 or 2041. But those prices are 2.3 to 2.5 times higher than they are today. We also have a Palmer Wind project. That is an existing wind farm located near Superior and Lakota. And they have offered us a 20-year agreement that's about 2.6 times higher than what prices are today. Now those are initial offers. There could still be some negotiation on price, but the point is, prices are going up. You know, you hear stories in the news about data centers, increasing electric demand, all of this. That is the future electricity markets are expected to go up. The question is how much, how fast will all of this happen? Nobody knows that, but these companies price that kind of stuff in because they don't want to sell it any, you know, if the prices are higher, they want to be able to maximize their return. So, and those prices are fixed for the terms of the agreement. So, you know, you think if you sign a 20-year agreement, yes, the price is higher, but it's going to be that price 20 years later too. It's not going up during that time. So that's part of it as well. The current market prices today are hovering around 3 cents a kilowatt hour. But they, as I said, they're forecasted to increase. You know, some of the forecasts, it depends on which ones you look at, but a lot of them are saying that the prices around 2032 to 2033 is when it would maybe reach the price of these wind farms. So we're still 5 years away from that potentially. And again, unknown. You know, other unknowns are, you know, who's our next president? You know, the President Biden was moving down a path where he wanted to shut coal plants down, build more wind, build more solar. President Trump completely reversed that. No, we don't want any of that stuff. You know, they just announced last week, what was it, $1 billion to give to 13 coal plants to keep them open. So, you know, which way is that pendulum gonna swing? That has a big impact on things as well. As coal prices increase, or excuse me, energy prices increase, the coal plants that we have will likely run more. Most of the coal plants, the cost of producing power is like 2 to 2.5 cents out of the coal plants today, depending on coal prices. So if the prices stay up, the coal plants run more, you end up with more coal power, but it's also a good hedge against future market price increases as well. So we're well positioned kind of either way, but it's all, you know, Iowa, we're fortunate too, does not have any requirements that you have to have renewable energy. So if we were in Minnesota, you guys would meet the law in Minnesota because you're getting 40% of your energy from wind, but there is a law in Minnesota that you have to have 25%. So we don't have that here in Iowa. I don't expect that here in Iowa, but just shows the difference in some states as well. So right now what we're looking for is feedback from all of our members on the idea of extending or doing a new wind contract, knowing that prices are higher. You know, what is the interest level in doing that? And at this point it's just preliminary. What we would do then is we will compile all of that from all of the members and then see what the level of interest is, and then we will proceed with negotiating what would be the best deal. Then that would come back to you. So today we have an agreement between West Bend and NYMECA that says you've committed to that 2,676 kW of wind. So whatever the cost is of that or credits, that goes back to West Bend on your power bill. So we have an agreement with you that says that you're gonna pay the amount you asked for. So whatever we end up with this wind, again, today we would like an indication or shortly an indication from West Bend on what you want. When we get a final deal done, it would come back to you for your final rubber stamp and approval, saying, yep, we commit to this and we know what it is going forward. So nothing is concrete tonight, but we would like you to relatively soon be able to give us an idea of how much you might want, if any. Questions on that, thoughts?
Is wind showing a tendency to go up faster than the other stuff?
Not really. One of the things impacting wind right now too is, the one big beautiful bill ended tax credits for wind. And that is, 2.6 cents a kilowatt hour. So, you know, if you think about, I said our price today is a little less than 2. If you add 2.5 cents to that, you know, you're talking 4.5 cents. That's getting you in line, you know, if you start doing the math, that's getting you in line with the prices that we're seeing for the forecast. So that's a big portion of the difference too, is the lack of the tax credits. And I know some members, you know, some are still interested in keeping the amount similar to what they've had. Some are saying they don't want any anymore, they think the price is too high, would wanna take their chances. Some are saying we maybe wanna keep some, but maybe not as much as we did before. It is still a hedge, you know, unknown, where this is that fixed price, you know what it's going to be for 5, 10, 20 years, whatever the contract would be. That does give you a little bit of stability, you know, so people like Blair who work on your rates, they can build that in and they know what that's going to be for that period of time. But again, that's up to each one on what you wanna do.
Can you explain a little bit about capacity sharing and where wind falls in there and?
So wind is not shared. So I mentioned earlier, like the coal plants get shared and all of that. Wind is not shared. Each member determines an amount and that is fixed for them for the duration of the contract. So whatever amount you commit to, that is going to be yours for the balance of the term. And part of the reason we don't share that is, so half of our members receive hydro allocation from the federal government, from the dams on the Missouri River. So some of them have kind of some fixed, so like Spencer, Lorenz, Alta, they have a fixed contract for part of their power from those. And so, and that can also count as, you know, it's non-carbon based, so if there would ever be any renewable law or a non-carbon law, they have part of that covered. So unfortunately, you guys, West Bend is 2 miles too far west to be able to get it. You have to basically be in the, what they call the Missouri River watershed. It's the 97th of something meridian line. You have to be west of that to be eligible, so you guys just miss out on it, unfortunately. But that also impacts a little bit on what members want to do, you know, as they look at this individually. The ones that have that are a little, you know, in a different point than you. Back when you guys did this amount originally, the city council at that time, the level you're at, that was 50% of your load at the time. So your load has grown since we did this contract 5 years ago, that now you're down to 43%. But at that time, West Bend's decision was we want to cover 50% of our load through this wind contract.
And what we do as far as wind is in direct proportion to what we do as coal. If we cut back on wind, does that mean we're gonna rely on coal more?
Either coal or market purchases, yes.
Which is very small percentage.
Yep. Yep.
So for the sake of tonight, can we just reassure that we will at least maintain the same?
That's up to you guys. Yep. I mean, if that's what you're interested in, we can put that down. And the other thing will be is, say you said you wanted to keep the same amount. We may have to massage that a little bit, and we would do that in consultation with you, but today we have 46,000 kW total of wind. Well, let's say there's only enough interest to get back to 40. You know, then we gotta work with our suppliers to get to that, but maybe to get, and they like even numbers, you know, like 41,000, 40,000, not, you know, 41,253 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, maybe we would say you get a little bit less, or we would ask you want to take a little bit more to get to an even number when we combine everybody together. But, and again, whatever final amount is, that would have to come back to you for a final approval at some point in the coming months.
So Greg, you said that price is locked in, you know, for whatever, 10, 20 years.
Yep.
So what if those tax credits come back?
Then we would miss out on those.
I know,
Yep.
that's what I thought.
And that would be the thing, if they do come back and somebody wants to do a project, you might be able to get into a cheaper project in the future. But again, that's just an unknown, we don't know. Yep.
It's almost done like the stock market, yeah.
To some extent, yeah, if anybody has a good crystal ball, you know, that's what we need.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do get to sell renewable energy credits off our wind though.
Yes, so,
That price is going up, isn't it?
yep, so one of the things we do, I mentioned Iowa does not have a law. So every megawatt hour or 1,000 kilowatt hours generates what's called a renewable energy credit. And so you receive those proportionally. And since in Minnesota, you would have to retire those. You have to have this piece of paper and you have to retire it to meet that 25% law in Minnesota. Well, since Iowa does not have that, we can sell those to other companies. So like if you hear Walmart operates on 100% renewable power, well, they really don't. What they do is they buy these credits to offset their usage so that they can claim that they do. So what we do is we go out and market these and we sell them, and we've been getting, and it depends on how old they are and things like that, but we've been getting, excuse me, anywhere from $2.50 to $4 per 1,000 kilowatt hours back as a credit, and then we pass that on to the members. If you know you had, what was it, this year you had 9,000, or last year 9,708 million, so you got 9,708 of those renewable certificates, and we sold them at whatever price, so you got back like $20,000, give or take, whatever it is, that you get back as a credit for us selling those. So that does help lower the price on the wind a little bit. We've already got an offer, the Palmer Wind Farm, they know somebody that wants them, and they're willing to lock in a price of $4, which is actually pretty good right now. So we know we can get the price down a little bit from some of those types of things too, but we're doing that already as well.
So we're just having to decide if we wanna keep that 40% wind, basically.
Yeah, any amount, you could increase it, you can
Whatever
decrease
amount.
it, you can say, and you can give a range too, like you could say, we'd like to maintain, you have the 2,600 KW now, we're willing to go up to 2,600. You could say up to 3,000, whatever number you might want that you feel comfortable with. And again, we'll take all of that from all the members and compile it, and then kind of go from there to figure out what fits.
Then if we get the price down to $1.50, maybe we can go for more.
The other thing would be too is, do you have a preference for the 5-year contract, the 10-year contract?